Hello again there viewers, this is Brian the Three Topics Gamer here to present my final Mass Effect vs. Series matchup, as the last of the Protheans, Javik, will take on the Resistance fighter from the Andromeda galaxy, Jaal, to see which soldier would emerge the winner. Now before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button and subscribe to help spread the word and help grow the channel, and to remind everyone, and to those who perhaps have not heard of the official challenge, to possibly save the Versus series, but for you, if you awesome people can help get this channel to 50,000 subscribers before the end of the year, then I will begin working on Season 6 for next year. But I'm not sure if that's gonna happen, but heck, miracles can happen. Now, when it comes to research for each of these combatants, when it comes to Javik, I will be pulling from his appearance only in Mass Effect 3, and for Jaal, I'll be using his appearance only in Mass Effect Andromeda. So, with that out of the way, let's start off by breaking down Javik first. Although his early years are a bit hard to speculate, it is my belief that Javik was born on the planet of Eden Prime 50,000 years before the events of the Mass Effect trilogy. At the time of his birth, the Reapers at that time had already engaged the Protheans, and during an extensive war, the Protheans were unfortunately losing. As he grew up alongside his fellow Protheans, he would be trained to fight against the Reapers, and with the Citadel having already been taken over long before Javik was born, he would eventually be elevated in his rank to such a degree that during the last days of the war, Javik would be put in command with the last significant fighting force of the Protheans on Eden Prime. Realizing that all was lost, Javik ordered for a tactical retreat to an underground bunker, with the plan being that if they could not win the war, then they would simply outlast it going into stasis, and once the Reapers' threat had passed, his forces would reawaken and then retake all of the territory that the Reapers had claimed. This initial plan would ultimately end in failure, as a collection of indoctrinated traitors would reveal their location to the Reapers, which caused the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Protheans while they were still in stasis. But in a last-ditch effort to hold off the Reapers from wiping out their entire race, a soldier under Javik's command by the name of Victory the Sixth was successful in activating a neutron purge weapon, wiping out all of the Reapers that had entered the facility. While Victory the Sixth's fate is unknown, Javik's stasis pod was the last one to not be disturbed, but with the automated reactivation compromise, Javik would be forced to stay in stasis until someone awoke him. He would eventually be awakened by Commander Shepard and his allies just as the Reapers were making their return to conquer everything. After awakening, he would learn all that had happened while he was in stasis, and after hearing that the Reapers had indeed returned, it was revealed to him that Shepard had a plan to unite all the species against them, as well as develop a powerful weapon to defeat the Reapers, and Javik would happily join Shepard and his allies in their fight against the Reapers, vowing vengeance for his lost people. When it comes to Javik's armament of weapons, he carries both an assault rifle as well as a heavy pistol. His primary assault rifle that he used during the Prothean War was called the Particle Rifle. Created during the Prothean War against the Reapers, the Prothean's Particle Rifle was a stripped-down, powerful assault rifle modified to fire without the use of a thermal clip, but instead relied on using a cooldown system. The Particle Rifle is somewhat similar to that of the Collector's Particle Beam weapon, but simply being a less powerful but more reliable weapon. The Particle Rifle beam can stretch to an infinite range. However, at a far distance, the beam would cause no damage to targets, making the weapon not the best weapon to use for long ranges. Though the particle weapon has a unique design which helps the weapon stand apart from other assault rifles, it sadly has a low damage output. Because this weapon fires a beam and not a projectile, it is unable to do any amount of piercing damage, but instead the weapon requires the user to fire the beam and to keep a constant lock on the target in order to wear down an enemy's shields or barriers. However, the longer a user keeps this weapon active, the faster the weapon battery can overheat, causing the weapon to stall. Because of this weapon is not best used in short controlled bursts, but requires the user to maintain a constant awareness of the particle weapon's battery gauge. This weapon has near perfect accuracy, and since this weapon does not fire projectiles, it has no recoil, making it the most stable weapon in Mass Effect 3. Now, strangely enough, there is no official source that states specifically which heavy pistol Javik prefers to use. His profile states that he uses an assault rifle and a heavy pistol, but if you look at his official character profile image, he carries an Asari model disciplined shotgun. So taking these two factors into effect, narrowing it down, it is my belief that Javik would have preferred to use an Asari heavy pistol, and the only model that fits that requirement would be the Asari's Acolyte heavy pistol. Designed for the Asari resistance, the Acolyte's barrel fires advanced ammunition similar to that of an impact-trigger resonant warp bomb, which has a devastating effect on shields and biotic barriers. The specialized nature of the warp field means that it does not pierce armor as effectively, but the shooter's biotics are expected to make up for this weapon's shortcoming. The Acolyte launches a projectile similar to a grenade, which can bounce off walls and has noticeably downward arc in its trajectory. The Acolyte can cause up to 500% increase in damage against shields and barriers, but with a clip size of 3 and a reserve amount of 12, this is the kind of weapon that one needs to make sure they make every shot count. Apart from his 2 firearms, being placed in the class of Vengeful Ancient grants Javik a series of enhancements and combative powers. The first one is called Slam, which allows a user to grab an enemy with a biotic shield, then immediately slam them against a surface with such great force that it can cause extreme levels of damage. Dark Channel allows Javik to weaken an opponent's biotic shields, making them much more vulnerable to attacks. Lift Grenade allows Javik to throw an explosive grenade at an opponent, causing them to go flying into the air, and his final ability, which is called Pull, allows Javik to pull an enemy closer to his position, leaving them open to a follow-up attack by Javik's weapons. Jaal is a member of a highly respected family within the Angaran species, and by the time we first meet him, he is a high-ranking member of the Angaran resistance fighting against the Keth. Shortly after Pathfinder Rider arrives in the Andromeda galaxy, the Pathfinder and their crew encounter Jaal and the Angara while looking for a Revenant Vault. Due to the Angaran people's suspicions on exactly what are the intentions of these outsiders to their galaxy, Jaal agrees to join Ryder's crew, acting as a representative for the Angara, seeing as all those a part of the Andromeda Initiative and the Angara people have a common enemy in the form of the Keth. One mission in particular would have Jaal travel with Ryder and the crew of the Tempest to the planet Void, where they would have to take part in a rescue operation to rescue a popular member of the Angaran people named Moshe Seifa, who was being held in a Keth facility. It was during this mission that Jaal would learn that the Keth were actually a mutated version of the Angara, and that he had been killing his own kind over the course of the rebellion. After rescuing Moshe, Jaal and the Pathfinder would manage to stop a rogue group of Angarans called the Rokar from attacking the planet of Eos. After going on several missions with the crew of the Tempest, Pathfinder Raiden would ultimately end up earning Jaal's complete loyalty after helping him deal with a personal matter involving his family members. After speaking with his mother, who told him that his 3 siblings had gone off to join the Rokar, needing to bring them back home, the crew of the Tempest traveled to the Forge on the planet of Havaro, where they would ultimately discover that the leader of the Rokar, Aksul, wanted to use explosives to destroy the Forge. Aksul claimed that what he was doing was for the greater good of their people, believing that those part of the Andromeda Initiative had horrible intentions against the Angara, but Jaal stood against Aksul, claiming that those part of the Andromeda Initiative were truly their allies and revealed all of the great deeds that Ryder had done for the Angaran people. Jaal would ultimately succeed in ending the Rokar insurrection once and for all. When it comes to Jaal's armament, he uses a single weapon, which is a modified Lanet sniper rifle. The Lanet was originally a Keth weapon, and it is a slow-firing rifle which uses plasma-surrounded projectiles. A user of this weapon could charge up the Lanet semi-automatic magnetic field to modify the plasma containment, and the longer the charge builds up, the more powerful the shot. At its maximum charge level, the Lanet is easily considered to be one of, if not the most powerful single-shot rifle a user could get their hands on throughout the entire Andromeda galaxy. Jaal also wears a visor over his right eye that multiplies the distance of his vision, which, when using alongside his rifle, grants Jaal an even greater amount of sight when looking through his scope. Jaal also brings a unique skill set to aid him in battle. His first power skill is called Energy Drain, which restores Jaal's shields by sapping electromagnetic energy around the target. This causes extra damage to the shields of synthetic enemies and detonates combos primers to all primed enemies. His second power skill is called Sticky Grenade, which, as the name states, allows Jaal to throw a grenade that can stick onto a surface or an enemy before detonating after 2 seconds. His third and final skill power is called Avenger Strike, which allows Jaal to activate a cloak before swiftly repositioning for a deadly strike from behind. And though this skill is considered to be a melee attack, Jaal can use this ability to help him move to a different firing position without being seen. Being placed on a combative class of a rebel soldier grants Jaal exceptional levels of combat training, precision, and most importantly, efficiency. Now that we've broken these two combatants down, it is now time to determine who I believe would walk away the winner. And unfortunately for this matchup, it ends up being a prime example of picking a matchup which on paper looks like a good idea, but once you've done just a little bit of digging on both of these characters and find out exactly what kind of soldiers these two are, you'll come to realize that this matchup is sadly a bit one-sided in favor of Jaal. If one breaks this matchup down to its simplest form, then what you have here is an infantryman in Javik going up against a sniper in Jaal. And in a fight like that, 9 out of 10 times, the sniper is always going to walk away the winner. If we are talking about which combatant can bring the most offense, then Javik has the advantage. But what Jaal has over Javik is superior equipment, he has range, and he has a skill set that allows him to control the battle. Neither of Javik's weapons have the range to hit Jaal, and unless he gets within medium to close range to Jaal's location, none of Javik's combative powers can be of any use. This matchup is sadly a bit unbalanced because not only is Jaal going up against someone who doesn't have the equipment or skills to challenge him, but he's facing someone who doesn't have the tactical mindset on how to properly engage him. A much more balanced matchup would be to put Jaal up against someone like Garrus, but sadly I already used him earlier this year. Javik has spent his entire life fighting against the Reapers, and it's unlikely that during that time period that the Reapers ever relied on using snipers, and what little experience Javik would have had against snipers would have been only when he was fighting alongside Shepard. But even in those situations, that's very little experience. Jaal, as a member of a rebellion, was trained to do more with less, and unless absolutely forced to go onto a head-to-head engagement, his immediate approach is to use an indirect method to attack to get the jump on an opponent and take them out before they even knew what happened. Now, for the actual battle, there really isn't much to say because it wouldn't even really be that much of a fight to begin with. I see this engagement playing out in two ways. You could literally place this fight in almost any location throughout the entire Mass Effect franchise and the result would end up the same. It would start off with Jaal finding either an elevated position or a good sniper's location, and he would simply sit and wait for Javik to appear, and using the scope on his Lanet and the visor over his right eye, he would begin scanning for Javik, and unquestionably, he is going to spot Javik long before he even knows that someone is looking for him. He would then begin to charge up his Lanet to its maximum level, and then when Jaal finds his shot, he would simply shoot Javik right through the head with his shields not being strong enough, even at their highest level, to protect him from such a powerful plasma-surrounded projectile. Now, if in the unlikely chance that Jaal's first shot misses, Javik would immediately jump into cover, now knowing that there's a sniper on him. Jaal realizes that he needs to change the positions to get a clear shot, and he would immediately activate his Avenger's Strike skill, and now cloaked, quietly maneuvers himself to Javik's flank. Javik has some idea of where the shot came from and considers trying to move close to that location without exposing himself too much, and that is exactly what Jaal would want him to do. At this point, Jaal has now maneuvered to a closer position to Javik from a different angle, and now Javik now begins to move out of his covering position, but that is the mistake that Jaal was waiting, and in that moment, Jaal would simply place another round right through the back of Javik's head, killing him immediately and ending the fight right then and there. I declare Jaal, the rebel of the Angaran, the winner. Now, before I close out this video, I would just like to take a moment to expel a potential conspiracy theory that I'm sure some of you out there may want to bring up when it contains to all of the Mass Effect matchups that I've done this year. With Jaal taking the win in this matchup, it means that within what could possibly be my final season of doing Versus Series videos, somehow, someway, Andromeda seemed to sweep this season. But this was not by design, and I openly confess that when it comes to quality and enjoyment, I would pick the original crew of the classic Mass Effect trilogy over the Andromeda crew any day of the week. But despite Andromeda's game being somewhat underwhelming in terms of its reputation as a combative crew for the Tempest, it's a damn good one. I just wish that they had been given a better game. So with that out of the way, please let me know, do you agree with me that Jaal is overall the more capable combatant to win this particular matchup, or do you believe that Javik could somehow pull off the upset? Share your thoughts and opinions with me and everyone else in the comments down below, and like always, thank you guys for watching, you're awesome, and like always, please enjoy this quick preview of my second to last matchup to close out Season 5 of my Versus series. I'll see you next time.